¿Ya estando la música ya empieza?
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Welcome to the I Love Michelada show.
So happy to be here. What an honor.
Episode.
What an honor.
Thank you. What an honor to have you.
I've made it. Mama, I made it.
I remember we shot Paulina and we were listening. Where were we? We were in New York.
We shot Paulina?
No, we shot Paulina.
Oh, you guys.
We shot
yes.
Paulina. We had Paulina on here. And then
our sister.
And then we released it, and you guys were watching the episode
in the back.
In the Uber.
In the Uber in the back.
And you guys
she
were just
hated
laughing.
She's like, stop playing it out loud. I'm like, what? This is what you sound like. What are you going to do?
It's weird listening to yourself. I have to edit this. I'm like listening to myself, and I hear like my.
I have a podcast for those of you who don't know.
Super Mas, second half of the Super Mas.
It's been 3 years. No, more. 4 years. In the beginning, I used to edit the show. Mm-hmm. I edited the show for about a year. And then Paulina started editing it, and I would over edit myself. I would over edit my my likes.
You would take them out?
Yeah, I would always take out my and I would always take away things I would say that I would later regret.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I just stopped, and then one day things just got busy, so my sister Paulina started editing the show, and then I realized like that was awesome. I didn't have to edit, so she started editing it, and it was a sense of freedom for me in a way, because at that point it's just me. Yeah,
but all those things are like your personality.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but again, I over edited myself a lot for a year, and then so now if I fuck up, which I do all the time, it's just that's just who I am. You know, like what am I gonna do? Yeah, and I always just say what I think, which often leads to getting me in trouble with some people. But I think in the beginning it used to bother me a lot, and sometimes it still kind of, but no, at this point I'm just like, it's me. Like, what are you gonna do? So you don't like me, you know? But yeah, it's fun. I love doing these things. We started a YouTube channel like 8 years ago.
Which
10 years ago. We had a Pal Cabrón YouTube channel, and we still have videos.
That's true, we do have.
You've always wanted to have a YouTube show, like a channel.
Just like a place to put content.
Creativity. I think you were very creative, and I think this really it lends itself for that. But I remember we used to do videos, and we used to put them up, or commercials.
We made like a bunch of, we made like 4 commercials, and we teamed up with a comedian. Richard. And we did a bunch of funny ass videos. Yeah, and then even when we opened 8th Street, you did a stop motion of the entire the opening, the redoing. That's still up. We'll probably post it up.
Yeah,
I'll post it. I was on Diego's podcast. Diego's a developer that we met, and he's developing. He
creates great content. That guy.
Yeah, but he helped develop like Border Rex Brewing, and like he has a property next door, and he has people on his podcast, and they talk about like doing.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about just like doing stuff and content. He was talking about like the process, and I realized that I just overthink too much.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I stopped making a lot of things, because I got too into my head. I wanted it to be perfect, and I was like, I don't want. And so it would take me like forever to edit one little video, because I wanted it to get perfect. But it would take me like a couple hours to get it down to where it would have been fine.
Yeah.
And then 5 hours editing things that nobody notices.
Got it.
So I feel like, and that's why I don't post a lot on my Instagram. I feel like I just overthink things instead of just like doing it.
I wonder though, because for me, I feel the same way, and I think we have that in common. And I wonder if that's just our own insecurities.
Well, yeah, it's like 100% our own insecurities.
Yeah.
About like whether or not it'll get accepted, or what people will think, or whatever.
It is. I think ultimately it's about what are people going to think of this, and how is this going to make me look. Or
I feel like
but even not posting on Instagram is just being afraid of being judged in a way.
Yeah.
And
100%.
I think really that is also why. I always wanted to have something also, cooking on YouTube, and I never did it because, oh my God, no, what are people going to think? What are people going to say? What if I'm not good? And, I'm exposing everything.
You're like comparing yourself to someone's 10th year on camera with like a team, and you realize that the first step to being good at something is just sucking.
Yeah. And then just now looking back at the regret of I should have, and I think that's sort of when it hit me, and I just now.
Yeah, like if we would have continued the videos and Pal Cabrón and all that stuff, we already had a catalog that was like giant.
Like, and just getting better at video editing and getting better at. But it's never too late to do anything.
Yeah, so that's why we started this.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of just saying like, I'm just gonna do it, and like, fuck it if people don't like it. Like, fuck it if it's not good. Just fuck it.
Yeah, just do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just doing it. Just like, fuck it. Like what's,
well, fuck it and then do it.
Yeah.
It's like the action. Like the action is the important part.
Yeah, and the time, because it's a lot of time that goes into doing. And I mean, and even as simple as it is, it just takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
So it's like, where do you allocate your time, and where do you want to do? But and now you mentioned Diego, I really like the way he has taken his career, which is the developing, right, and construction, I guess, in a sense, and has then, in turn, now he creates content around that.
Yeah.
And I feel that that's what he really loves to do, and it just makes his job more fun for him.
Yeah.
I would say day to day. It's the same thing with us. We have the restaurant, we have micheladas, we are ultimately a business, but we do all these things surrounding that creates content that allows us to have fun. And I think that's really what it is.
Yeah, I think a lot of times when we talk about when we grew up, and we talk about how none of us really wanted to be in the restaurant.
Yeah, no.
Right? Because we just...
None of us still want to be at the restaurant.
But we saw only a part of it.
Yeah.
We saw just like, I think Dad was always like, you got to be there, like at the front.
Yeah.
Doing
Which
that.
I still feel...
It's very important.
Yeah, it's still very important. And I still get major guilt for not
being there all the time.
Every single time, every single night, every weekend, or every Friday night.
But there is stuff around the restaurant that's still part of the restaurant that's more on the creative aspect, or then you can just delegate away. Like a lot of things that I'm watching is like delegate away things you're bad at, or they always say try to fire yourself immediately.
Oh, that's a good.
Where it's like get your thing or get your business, organization, or idea at a place where you can then immediately fire yourself, so then you can work on something else if you're that kind of person.
Right.
And I feel like we get very easily. Our attention's very easily scattered.
I mean, obviously, we have so many projects, so it's easy to get your attention scattered. I think for me, I'm beginning to understand what I really love to do and what it is, and then kind of mind shift into saying, okay, how is this going to help the bigger picture?
What is it that you really like doing? What is it that you've experienced?
I really love talking, right? I really enjoy doing things like this, like interviews. I really enjoy creating and creativity. I love producing. For example, like producing events. When we started Taste of Mexico, I was in an association called Taste of Mexico, which was years ago, and that's kind of when I got my first hands-on event production and putting together an experience. I love creating experiences for people. I love doing that. And that creativity that goes around it. I love graphic design. I love branding. I think branding is my ultimate thing that I feel I'm really good at. At seeing this is going to work, that's not going to work. I don't know, getting the message across, right? Not being so elusive and artsy, but okay, what are people going to look when people look at that? Like what is our Nike swoosh, right? What is that? And I think when I was in college, I remember one of the few things, college for me wasn't, I liked it, but there's very few things I remember from. One of the things I really liked were these case study classes that we would take, and we would look at a company and we would say, okay, what made this company? So I remember reading the book for JetBlue, and it was really all about branding and customer service. I saw even the book Delivering Happiness from Zappos, right? Branding, customer service. So I think those are the two things that I really, really love to do. But I think also like I love people, and I love hosting people. I love creating new friends. I love introducing people to people. So anything that surrounds that, I'm really good. And I love organizing. So I think I really enjoy the idea of putting things together and seeing where people fit and what would work to get to the end. Yeah. And then at the end of the day, that really is what I do in all of the businesses, in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Well, it's great that you're like getting to really focus on it, and then you can fire yourself away from things that.
Yeah, I mean, I already fire myself from a lot of things. But yeah, I just think it's just finding like what it is, and it just sometimes it just gets so what's the word? I mean, I don't know, Instagrammable. And I mean, I say like you read these quotes so much over and over again. Find your passion, find your life, be happy, love yourself. Like all these motivational Monday quotes that sometimes it's easy to just be a little bit, I guess, sarcastic, or I don't know what the word is. Cynical. Yeah, cynical. And like, instead of finding, okay, what's truth about that, it's easy to just say, oh, got another freaking motivational quote. I'm so fucking over this. But I think behind every one of them, there's something true to it. For example, when you say that, like, find your passion, find your life, it is about that. It is about what is it that you love so much that you can't. And I remember Dad would always tell us that when we were young. He was, you gotta get passionate about work. You gotta just think about it the moment you wake up, the moment you fall asleep. You gotta get passionate about it. And I would always feel, I guess, not good enough, or doubt myself, because I didn't feel that passionate. He did, right? It was his business, it wasn't mine. And I couldn't find that passion in what I was doing at the moment. But I think as the older I got, the more things, with all the failures we've had, you start to understand, okay, what worked for you, what were you doing? Like, even stupid things like building websites. Like, I love going to Squarespace. I could start building a site at 11 and not go to sleep until 4 a.m. and I don't even know where time went, because I really enjoy it. But that has to do with visualizing and branding and seeing and fonts and what's the message, and, like, again, those ideas that I really like. So it's just, I guess I was looking at what was I really good at, and what did I love about it so much that made me think about it. You know, and getting passionate about that. Like, what is it that, you know? Well,
because, you know, this is conversations I carry over from what we were talking to Diego. And his biggest thing, we talked about all that stuff, but it was like, what are you drawing from after? Because he was talking about his friends who have accomplished so much, and it's like, okay, well, now what? Because it was like, they first found their first motivation in one little project. They finished that, and then they realized that they need a bigger, and it went from passion to purpose. And it was like, what's the purpose behind the passion? Because without the purpose behind the passion, it's hard to kind of create the passion. Have you found your purpose?
Well, I did go to Tony Robbins. We can talk about this. I do read a lot of Tony Robbins. I listen to a lot of Oprah. I'm really into that stuff. And I remember when I went to Date with Destiny with Tony Robbins, I think that was really the beginning of
when you walked on
myself. Fire? No, Paulina walked on fire. I didn't go to that one. That's the Unleash the Power with it. I only went to one, and I was good. And I think that was the beginning of my journey and understanding what was my purpose. And I remember, I mean, it's an intense course. It's his most intense workshop, class, seminar, whatever it is you want to call it. It's 6 days. It's in Florida. You are in this room with 1,000 people. I think it was 1,500 people. The room is, I think, 60 degrees. They keep it cold on purpose, so you're always cold. You always have a jacket. It's super cold.
And you're awake.
And you get there every day at 9 a.m. and you leave at 2 a.m. And it's just non-stop dancing, chanting, crazy, and listening to him speak, taking notes, listening to people's life, stories, talking about passion, talking about purpose, talking about time. And it just makes you, I think at some point you're just so delusional that it makes you dig into a place you never noticed about yourself and start asking these questions and writing, like, what is my purpose, right? And it is like my purpose, I would say, it's really to just live a joyful life, like to just, I know, again, it goes back to a very basic, be happy, like, don't worry, be happy. It really is, I think my purpose is just to bring joy, not into only myself, but my family, my community, everyone, just, and understand, like, the wonder of, like, always looking at the beauty of the world, right? And it's very easy for us, our family, to be stressed. It's very easy for us to be overwhelmed, and it's also very easy for us to get depressed. So for me, nothing is that important. Like, nothing is more important than your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health. Like, that is number one. And I think my purpose is to live a life that inspires others to live that way. You know, it's just about really inspiring people, but not just people. First, you start with your home, inspiring my son, inspiring my husband, inspiring myself, inspiring my siblings, inspiring my parents.
I told Dad all the time. I always tell Dad, like, you have to be the example and be that person to prove to people that it can be done. Otherwise, you're just you're not really practicing what you preach.
Right.
Otherwise, people are cynical about your message.
Yeah, for sure. I think that is my purpose, is to just live a life that can inspire others to just be the best they can be. And that, I mean, that is, and you know, I'm not obviously I'm not perfect, but it does take a lot of work. And even, you know, it's like anything else, like a relationship, a marriage, a friendship. Things that come easy in life are not sustainable. I think that's kind of what I've learned too, in life in general. You know, it's only the things that you work for that they can't be taken from you. You know, so if you work for a six-pack, like there's no one coming after it because you work for it. But if you went to the doctor and, you know, got 6-pack implants, you know, like it can't be taken away from you. Something can burst, something can happen. Like you're not in control of it. It's just, if you work for it, it can be taken from you.
Yeah. Well, let's cheers to that with a quick michelada.
I do.
It is the I Love Michelada show after all.
True.
You like that I have what?
Latitude 33, which is my favorite brewery.
I know, you turned me on to this brewery.
I know. Thanks to my husband.
Your husband, right? Your husband found it?
My husband found it at Whole Foods. We really love beer, my husband and I. And we live in Highland Park, which is the closest neighborhood, I would say, that you can have. Next time, it's Pasadena. So our theater that we go to is the Arcland Pasadena. In front of it, the Yard House. Mm-hmm. And we'll go there to grab beers before going to the movie. And they have a house honey blonde that's really good. So ever since that, when we go out to search for beers, we're always looking for the word blonde, but it's so different. The word blonde is different, and it's like someone walks in, it's like, I have an ale, or like I have a beer. Yeah, right. So this one says honey hips. House honey blonde. So we're looking for something that said blonde or honey or whatever, just something that could be in the same vicinity as your house's house honey blonde. And then he found this honey hips. But before we got to this one, though, we went through a lot of really bad honey beers.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Cheers.
Cheers. And then he found this one. The minute we opened it, we just fell in love with it.
It's really good.
And after that, I just went deep into Latitude 33.
We went to the brewery.
In my fridge, you will always find honey hips, mango vesa, which I love. I feel it makes the best mango michelada. And the third one that you will always find is the Blood Orange IPA. So those three beers by the same brewery, always in my house.
We tried getting the mango vesa for today, but we couldn't find it.
Well, I don't know if it's a seasonal one, but also the Blood Orange IPA, I really, really like. I've gone to the point where now I like IPAs. Yeah. But I think that just happens with people who genuinely like alcohol.
Or like when you try it enough, right? Or like when you experience it. I always tell people it's kind of like the first time you try liquor. First time you try liquor, very few people like it from the first time, right? It always burns, especially if you try it young. It'll like burn. You're like, eh. And then the more you try, the more you think about it, the more you kind of take flavors from, and then figure out what you like. Yeah. Like I don't like this. I like smokier. I like, even people like certain, or like people like vodkas. That I can't get into because it's too nuanced.
Well, that's the thing. That's when I think when it comes to whiskey, mezcal, beer, wine, natural wines taste very, very different than the traditional wines. I think that people are just out to search for what can give my palate that excitement. That excitement again, because it gets to the point where
it's like you're chasing the high.
Right. Unfortunately, I got to the point where I just can't drink Modelo. Just the same way, I won't drink vodka because I don't see the point. I mean, even if I'm just there, my purpose when I drink isn't to get wasted.
Yeah, it's like,
even though sometimes I do, but that's not my purpose. My purpose is to enjoy my drink. So I'm not the person that if I wouldn't have vodka just because I wouldn't enjoy it. I'm not there to just like take shots and get like, that's not, if I'm just gonna do that, I don't know what I would have. I don't think I'm not there anymore. And same thing with beer. Yeah. Like it sucks because now if I'm somewhere and all they have is, I don't know, a 3.5 Mexican lager, 3.5% Mexican lager, I'm like, I just might as well just have sparkling water. Like, let me have like a flavored, you know, I don't know what the point.
Or you pull out your little michelada and you add it on there.
Yeah, but even it's just I need to have a beer that has substance now. I need to have. That's why the mango vase has a 7% mango, so it's perfect because it's still high in alcohol. Yeah. You still kind of get a little bit of that taste that you like from beer, and then you add the michelada. It's perfect. Yeah. And this honey hips, I think this is like a 6.5.
Yeah, it's a high one.
Oh shit! It's an 8.3.
8.3.
It's a really high one.
I remember when we shot. We were shooting here with a Food and Wine magazine, and everybody was drinking that. Everybody loved it. Like the whole crew was drinking these with the micheladas.
I love this one. Double Orange IPA. I think also is high on range. But I was up north this weekend, and I found a brewery called Fieldworks. They're out of Berkeley, but they have. Which, by the way, if Fieldworks, are you guys watching? If you guys, when a business partner hit me up, I love their business model. Like that's the kind of things that excite me. Like I wish I owned that business. So Fieldworks.
What's the business model?
Here's the model. So they have a brewery in Berkeley. That's where they make everything. Then they have tasting rooms or tasting taps. Yeah. They have 8 throughout Northern California. So it happened to be the one in Napa inside a market. You sit down and you're able to taste all of the beers that they make. All the beers but you don't have to go to their brewery.
Yeah, you just have tap rooms.
You have to go to one of their tap rooms.
Do they have food?
No food.
Just beer. But it's within a place.
Within a place.
Okay.
So almost like Grand Central Market.
Yeah. Golden Road.
Yeah, so that you would go and buy something and sit down. But they have these tap rooms throughout Northern California, and the beer is absolutely delicious. And they don't do retail. They do some restaurants, but they don't do retail because they actually release limited edition cans that are beautiful. Excuse me.
It's like monkish, where they do it's like what the people call it hype beers.
Oh, but they
do. People are camping out for beers now.
Yeah, well, that's probably one of them. They said that they were saying to me they release them on Wednesday, and then you can pick up within a week in any tap room, or you go to their brewery. But I loved it. I mean, now I'm gonna be searching for a Fieldwork because it was such a great. It was such a well done beer where everything that was described was what you got. Yeah. You know, my husband loves lagers, but it's hard for me to find a lager I like because it has to have something else. His was just so crisp and clean and sweet. I think it was like 5.5, which is
that's pretty high for a lager.
Which is very high for a lager.
Like 4.5.
Yes.
3.5.
I had an IPA. That was, I think, at 6.8 or 7.5, but it was perfectly crisp and clean and citrusy, and I think that's what I really like in IPAs.
Yeah. That's what my favorite IPA is, Del Rey.
Oh, I've never tasted that.
You never had Del Rey? I have it all the time. It's really good. It's like crisp and light. It's citrusy. It's not overly hoppy, so you enjoy all the tones, and it's not overpowered by flavor.
I haven't gone to the point where I'm gonna have a double IPA or.
Well, I don't like those. Like I don't. I feel like those, they all have one flavor that overpowers the rest. Yeah. I like the mid-range that I can have 2 or 3 of them. Or, because I have one really hoppy IPA, then I'm done.
Yeah, it can be a lot.
Yeah. So I like beers where I can drink a whole flight. Or sours I really like. Sours are really cool.
I know, I haven't gotten a sour.
You should go to Dry River and have their Lady Roja, or next time when you go to Portland, you should go to Portland to hang out. There's Cascade, and it's like all sours. It's really good, yeah.
I haven't had a sour that I feel that I can enjoy.
Well, it's like mezcal, right? Like the first time people drink mezcal, they're like, I like it, but sometimes you look at their face, you're just kind of saying you like it because you want to be cool. But then you have 10 of them, and you're like, okay, now I understand what's to like about it. Then you start distinguishing.
Anything, like you're saying, you have to search for that next.
Yeah, you have to have one and not like it, and then have another one and be like, okay, and then once you more mentalize it, rather you think about it and you taste it, you start appreciating what it is.
Makes sense.
I really like sours.
But yeah, I mean that's.
But like proper sours, because the most sours you find at a place like Yard House, you probably have only had sours that aren't really sours.
I think I've had a couple, and it's just not. I haven't really found the one. Same thing with saisons. I think saisons is another category that I haven't really found jam yet.
It's called Dark Horse Brewing. They have a hibiscus saison. It's very, very good.
Okay, that sounds like it could be good.
That's so good. Yeah. It's like tart, slightly soury, but it's just like well balanced and it's really good.
Okay, so that's kind of like my next thing is I want to just maybe try a few. I think you have to go to
Come to Smorgasburg.
Yes.
That's where I have all these beers.
Yeah, but I think you also have to have you have to go to a great brewery.
Yeah. Or like a great liquor store or something.
I in my opinion, I get very overwhelmed.
Like a Ramirez? There's so much.
I can't. I do. When I am just put in a position where I have to look at too much of something, it's a lot for me.
Yeah.
Even Target, going down detergent aisle, it's not like it gives me anxiety. I just question every choice.
Yeah.
Because I have my go-to detergent, which is great if I order it, it gets delivered, it's done. But if I go down the lane,
because you second guess your first decision.
Should I try this one? But it's the same brand, but it has something in hands, and why is that in hands there, and why doesn't this one have it? And then you have all these new brands popping up. Yeah. The packaging always gets me.
I used to feel like that with cereal. You go to cereal aisle, there's like a million, and then one has like extra fiber, and you're like, I don't need fiber. And then or like omega-3, you're like, is that the good one?
Yeah.
It's like you don't.
But it's like everything. But that's really in everything.
Yeah.
You can shaving cream, razors, deodorant, every cleaning supplies, window cleaners. It's just you don't have that iconic just blue Windex bottle anymore. Now it's Windex with OxyClean and Windex Clear and Windex with
you have like the
Downy.
Next to Windex you have the 7th generation that has
but even within even within Windex, because sometimes there's certain things in my mind that will work because just
or like bleach,
right, things like that. But now it's not just bleach. You can't just find a
Clorox
white thing of Clorox. Now it's Clorox with lavender and Clorox without this and like this one without that. It's just it's so much.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel when I go down Ramirez, the aisle and beer. It's just a lot. It's a lot, and I don't know, and I can't taste it. So when I go to a brewery, I can say, "Oh, can I get a taste of that?" They pour it, you taste it. No, I'm not good. And then you're able to kind of then have that experience.
Breweries are a little hit and miss for me in general because I feel like breweries all have like one or two really good beers, and the rest are like okay. So it's hard finding a bar or a restaurant that has like a good variety of beers, and they're all pretty solid. That's what I look for.
I like that new movie theater in downtown LA.
Oh, Alamo Drafthouse.
Yes.
So we're actually are we on?
Yeah.
I love micheladas at Alamo Drafthouse.
Look at you guys hustling
already. Starting this week.
Oh my God! So I'm a big fan of that movie theater.
Yeah.
I love the Alamo. I also. Here's the thing that's why I think I love the business that we're in. We generally love beer so much. And the thing that I really find disrespectful in a place that loves beer and all,
it's like a bad michelada.
when you get it's the worst thing. Because I was up north, and I went to a lot of restaurants that have a lot of great reviews, I would say, right? They're very well known.
Like a program and all these things.
Well-run program, and place, and up there people will take their food serious, and it's a prestigious thing, and that's why people go to eat. So you better bring your A game. I went to a brunch, and they had you can have a Bloody Mary with vodka, Bloody Mary with tequila, and they have like a Smoky Mary with mezcal, and I'm like, oh, this is cool, but I'm not trying to get down with any of those things right now. And my husband said, oh, I'm sure they have a michelada, ask. So he asked for a michelada, and they just brought him a Bloody Mary mix with beer. Which is like the worst thing that could happen to us. And it is, I think at this point, this is how I judge a restaurant. Before I used to judge a restaurant by their lemonade, or maybe by how thick are their chips, or their bean. It just, depending if they're,
like a Mexican or a self-proclaimed Mexican restaurant.
Yeah, or if you're not a Mexican restaurant, like what do you, like their tea, there's like things that you can judge a restaurant by to see if they know, if they care, pay attention to details. And right now, having a place that doesn't have a legit michelada, I don't think you can do that anymore. I think we're kind of like at the point where you should have a great michelada. Yeah. And if you can't, just order ours.
Order ours so you can can have a legit michelada, like a real michelada. No, I like. What's my biggest pet peeve is just tomato juice with beer. It's the worst. I don't understand why people do it. People do it because they feel that michelada is more the color than the flavor, and they don't really understand.
Yeah.
I mean, a michelada just a chelada is just lime and beer
and salt.
And salt, right? And when people give you just clamato with beer, they don't even have that. So it's missing the key basis of what a michelada spirit in this most essence form is.
But see, then again, I think because I remember we were kids, and that was it's still a very thing when you go down to Mexico, especially if you go somewhere like Cabo, right? Yeah. You get like a cold glass with a little bit of lime juice and then salt around it, and you put your beer in and you drink it. But you're putting a beer that's so low in alcohol content, you're basically just bloating yourself. Like, I don't understand. I generally don't understand. Like, if you don't like it, like, don't have it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the light beer craze. Like, light beer is still a huge sector in the market.
Oh, yeah, but I've got some great, I mean, going back, I mean, this is not a promo. This is not, I don't even, we're sponsored. I don't even know who these people are. But the Latitude 33, the lager that they have, the light beer, right, the one we had, it's light, it's crisp, it's very perfect, good. But it's still beer, like the essence of it still happens. I just think like if you're gonna put, I mean, I'm a huge fan of sparkling water too.
But we're very much food people. There's a lot of people that honestly, it's weird, right? Because like you assume that everybody appreciates food or flavors.
I think everybody.
And there's a lot of people that just like will go to a restaurant or they'll drink something just to get the buzz. And they want to have like as little calories as possible, as little flavor. They just want to get to the end point without really getting there.
I really don't believe that. I honestly think
there's people who think that's who they are, and but I'm with you in that they haven't had the right thing. Because we had Connor from Indie Brewing, and I was talking to him about the same thing. Where I was like, people come to the bar, and they're like, "I have a beer," and I'm like, "Okay, which one?" And they're like, "I don't know, like just something light, like a Bud Light." Yeah. And I'm like, "All right, try these 3 things." And I'll give them.
I think Budweiser's the #1 selling beer.
Well, I'll give them like a mango half. I'll give them like a Del Rey IPA, and I'll give them like the cucumber sour, and I'll give them the calidad at last. And by the time they get to the calidad, which is what like
they want,
probably what they wanted, a lot of times they're like, oh, that mango one's actually really good, and they'll get that. Well, they'll be like, is that IPA really? I didn't know IPAs could taste like that. Or they'll be like, oh wow, I've never had a sour like that. So people just don't know because they haven't experienced, but they think that they just want something for the effect because they just haven't been exposed to it.
Yeah, and I think really behind when you talk about, when we went back to where we first started talking about purpose and why do you do things what you do, and tying it back to the book, I think a lot of people were very surprised that we put all our actual recipes in the book, and now people are learning how to make our mole and our beans and our rice. But I tell people I want people to know what good food tastes like. Yeah. Like that is what I want.
So educated customer.
Yeah, the reason why we have this product, micheladas, I want people to have a great michelada. Yeah. So in return, when they go to a restaurant, they say, no, this is sending things back because they're not tasting the way it should. And then from there, the restaurant owners paying attention to, oh, maybe we should invest in the Better Michelada program. Maybe we should invest in learning how to make tortilla from scratch. Maybe we should learn how to do this.
Or people say maybe we should respect Mexican cooking as an actual cuisine.
In general.
And
right?
pay more.
And pay more. And I think that is really how you change, how you actually make a change. Otherwise, what good does it do for me if I'm putting this book and then people are trying to cook and it doesn't taste good? How are they going to know what things are supposed to taste like? Yeah. And I think that is also one of the best advice I got from Dad, because he always told me, you don't need to know how to make it. You need to learn what things are supposed to taste like. That's your job. Yeah. To know when things are good and things are bad, and then from there you work You work backwards or forward or whatever, right? It's like, I already know what it's supposed to taste like, so now I can cook.
Yeah, how do I get it to there?
Because how do I get it to where it's supposed to be?
Yeah, you have high standards.
Right. And I think that's just like, that's what people, I mean, that's what I want people, to understand how valuable our food is and how great it is. And
by extension, our culture.
Exactly.
Yeah. Earlier you said something that you say you really like business models. And I feel like that's something we always talk about too.
I don't like.
But you do.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I obsess over when I find business. So, and you're talking about
Fieldwork Brewery, like how now I want to have a brewery.
Or you go to Yard House and stuff. Mm-hmm. I was talking to a friend the other day, and we were talking about breweries and all these whole conversations that we have all the time. And I was talking about BJ's. How BJ's is like such a good model. And that's a lot of people's first experience with craft brewing. And my friend was like, oh man, I remember going to BJ's and being like, oh, let me get a flight. And you get the flight and you feel like a connoisseur, but really they all taste the same. It's all like watered down beer.
So your BJ's is my Yard House.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never been to BJ's, but I've been to Yard House bunch.
And they have these fake stills.
They
have these fake stills there.
That was my first.
They have like these fake stills there, so like they pretend like they make the beer there, but it's all just decor. But they have their in-house beers. But they're all very safe.
Yeah.
But that's
But the house.
And I was telling him but BJ's been around. They out-survived everybody else in the market.
Yeah.
Because these other real craft breweries come up and they close down and they come up but they figured out the model and because you can't make it work without the model.
That's so true. Yeah. And what's gonna and honestly, like, who do you want to reach?
Yeah.
Like who do you want to be your customer? Who do you want to be that person that has that relationship with your product, and I'm always obsessed of who is that person. What does he or she, or is it a he or is it a she, what does he or she wear? What's her hair like? When she goes into, I always think of her because I'm a female, so in my mind I always think of the girl that I'm trying to reach. And what does her hair look like? What music does she like? What kind of car does she drive? What does she like to do on the weekends? Like, what's her hobby? Like, what is it? Like, who are you trying to reach? But like, you have to know that. And then from there, it's working backwards. Okay, then if she does this, then how is she going to listen to you when you're here? That's nowhere near her sphere. You know what I mean? Like, that's sort of how my mind works when I think about branding and reaching people and the content that I put out and things that I do. But I think with content it's different though, because for me, it's like my personal content, I just learned that I just have to be me, which is very difficult.
Very, very difficult.
I think it's the hardest thing.
I was going to say that. It's the hardest thing you can do.
Yeah.
Because you're at your most vulnerable. Because at that point, if you reject it, it's very hard to not take it as a personal rejection.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I still, even sometimes when I get like weird
YouTube comments?
Not YouTube comments, because someone told me a long time ago not to reach YouTube comments, which I don't. But when somebody purposefully...
By the way, please comment on this and share. Yeah. We started getting comments. Like people,
oh, nice.
Yeah, this, what's it, the nephew or niece? Was it the niece of the Evil Cooks was like, oh, that's my uncle. I was like, yeah, please. Cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah,
shout out to her.
Oh, all right. Subscribe below.
Subscribe,
click on the
like,
link.
and share. It's somewhere over here.
Somewhere here. I think it was when I've always kid around with my friends. I have some friends that get hated comments, and I'm always telling them, dude, it's not until you get it that you make it. Like, that's when you really know you've arrived. Like, don't worry about it, don't let it get to you. But it's difficult. I mean, I think in the past a couple months, there've been a couple of accounts, and these are accounts that are just made directly just to mess with you, just to insult you,
just to troll you.
I mean, you went out of your way to create an entire new account. You're following no one follows you. You have a weird name, and the one thing you do is send me a really nasty message, or you post something that's really wrong. And I understand that people have freedom of speech, and I totally get it. It's just really a trip to think.
Yeah.
But then that kind of comes as a consequence of who you are, right? I was putting this content, and I was just being me. This is who I am as a person. This is Bricia Lopez, 100%, zero filter. I don't give a fuck is how I feel. And then for someone to then do that, it's like, oh dang, like, I mean, you really are never going to please everyone. That's why for a long time, a lot of people told me, oh my God, you're probably going to run for politics and you're going to be the mayor of LA or you're going to be in this. I'm like, there's no part of me that wants to be in politics because I have seen how much scrutiny even the best politicians get. I don't think I can do that. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy just to how the world works and humans work. And
imagine how badly they want that position to put themselves in that position.
Yeah, I mean, you really gonna. It's really.
Like you really need to want on a personal level to become the mayor or this or that, right? For whatever reason.
Or even just not just, but even. Something as a neighborhood council president, which is the most.
That's even more vicious.
I think it's the most scrutinized
That's
position.
Even more vicious.
I used to be on the council, not the council,
economic
planning committee of LA, and I used to sit on the board, and I remember these neighborhood meetings, and that's when I learned. Excuse me. And that's when I learned how important it is to get involved in your community and your neighborhood, to attend these meetings, because it is your neighborhood, and that's where your community starts.
Yeah.
And as one thing, I don't think I ever learned living here in LA because we moved so much and.
Yeah, we moved so much, and we were uprooted from our original neighborhood.
Right.
So we lost a little bit of that.
Yeah, and also I think our parents were too busy trying to survive than to go to a neighborhood council meeting.
Yeah.
But I visited this kindergarten, and then they were talking about this is how we teach our children about what community means, and it starts in your home, right? Your family, your core, where you come from, then your street name, your block, then your city, whether it be Pasadena, Highland Park, what's the history of that city. Where does it come from? Mm-hmm. Then it goes to California, and where does California come from, and what is California, and then the U.S. and like what is U.S. and then what happens in the U.S. and then like the world, right? And I just thought, wow, I've never really thought of community that way. Like, what a great way to teach someone what community means. Ever since I heard that, I've been just thinking about that. I've been thinking about my street, my neighborhood, my community, my family, the day, and then it's just, and then the world, which is, if you start thinking about the world, it's just so much.
Yeah.
But when you narrow it down to
your street,
your house, you learn about, I do have power over certain things, and as opposed to getting too caught up in something so big.
Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh no, thanks for having me. We can talk forever and ever.
I know, we could.
I hope somebody finds this interesting.
I was like, I don't know if because we'll keep going for like all day.
I can talk all day.
And then we'll bring the more beers out and stuff.
Also, for those of you who are still watching, if you watch this long, that means you like what you're hearing.
Yeah.
This is our book. Oaxaca Home Cooking from the Heart of Mexico. It's been a labor of our love. It's our family's history, our grandma's recipes, our mom's recipes, our family's story, and I think today more than ever. And
your recipes?
Well, they're still mom's recipes. But I think that it is really important for people to see themselves in books, in shows, in movies. And I think I feel like in such a privileged position to be able to capture our history, our family, and in a book and written by our perspective and not somebody write it for us. So I think this is great, and I think the best comments I've gotten, and I think why I love doing this is people telling me I've been having this craving of learning more about where I come from, of learning about my family and my history, my mom's recipes, and like jotting those down. And you've inspired me to do that for my family and redo it. And like that is why we wrote this, to inspire people. Say
someone, right? Someone who's inspired. Because you went through this with mom, where mom didn't really have recipes.
Yeah.
She just kind of like she had her own recipes, but jotted down, but they weren't like, if someone else, random person would have gotten them, they weren't really been able to replicate them.
Right, yeah.
So like, if someone has that family recipe, what's your advice on how to transcribe that into a replicable recipe?
Well, number one, what I learned is you have to measure everything. So I think if you're really serious about this, you have to get a scale. They're really cheap on Amazon or anywhere. They're little electric scales. And before get a measuring spoons. But I think that when you weigh things, that's the best way of replicating
instead of
recipes. Yeah, because for example, if you want to recreate it for 50 people, instead of going cups to this to that, it's just weight.
That's true.
It's just by weight. It's just math.
Yeah. Plus, like leaves and stuff, it's hard to really.
Yeah, and leaves, when they say this, how many leaves, or 4 bay leaves, but what size? So I think for me, it's just getting a scale and weighing everything and doing it over and over again, and then give that recipe to somebody else and see if they can do it. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of commitment.
Yeah.
But the idea of actually having your own family's cookbook, not because you see us that we have a book and it's published and it's there. That doesn't mean that you can't do it on your own. That doesn't mean that
for your own family.
Yeah, like to have it and give it to your family, to your children, to your cousins, and say this is our family story and our family's recipes. I think everybody should do this. I mean, obviously, I come from a place where I already did it, so But I think to have your family story and food story together, it's such a great gift, especially now the holidays are coming.
Yeah.
It's just such a great.
You can give someone our book and the
book that you make for yourself.
Exactly, or like one recipe you make for yourself.
Yeah. I think it's really good. Yeah, give a recipe card with a little story. I think that's really good.
That is a really good gift.
Yeah. Look at me being thoughtful. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on,
dude. All right.